Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Van Dusen and I'm going to give you a little walkthrough on how to complete Math Online. The course that I'm going to use as my template is my Math 20-1 course, but if you're in one of the other math courses, the guideline through how you do it is virtually the same, so I just use this one as my guide. So once you land on the home page, you'll see some information there that's pretty consistent throughout the semester. You see a little welcome, you see my name, my email address, my phone number, so those are some good ways of getting a hold of me. There's a link there to how you check your marks as you go through the semester, and a little note that try to use Firefox as your browser because the applets and such in the math courses seem to work a bit better on Firefox than the other browsers. Then something that you really need to take note of is this box here. It lists the course content, it lists target dates, and then it lists final due dates. So let's talk about the difference here. Target dates are the dates that I set out where I want you to be so that you complete nice and gradually and you don't let things back up and you don't procrastinate. So these are the dates that you would like to try to stick with. If something happens, these are kind of the drop dead dates. So by November 17th, you need to have your course introductory lesson done, sequence and series, trigonometry, and quadratics. Now, if you're in a different course, obviously the content will be a little bit different, but that's what the due dates mean. So that's a drop dead date. If your work's not in there, you better have communicated to me why, so we can make some alternate arrangements, but normally that's pretty much it. Then there's a second due date on December 22nd, right before Christmas, and then one right at the end of the semester. There's some guidelines here before you start the course, what you need to do. So the very first thing you need to do is get on your RV Schools email. If you're not sure how to find it, just go into a search engine and type RV Schools email and find the link. Enter your username, password, and get in there and send me a quick email. Provide me what school you attend and when you have your math each day. Try not to just give me the block, but the actual time of day. If you're a Learning Connection student, no problem. Give me a little breakdown of kind of how you're doing your courses, and we'll work from there. Step 2 is the orientation video, which is obviously what you're watching now, so you found it. Step 3 is a startup checklist. This startup checklist is a guide that basically will go over what I'm going to talk about. So if you clicked here, it would open up. I think it'll open up here for us now. And it generally is a nice little breakdown of what I'm going to talk about. You might want to print this. You might not want to print it, but it's there for you to kind of read through what it is in case you forget some of the things in this video that I'm going to go through. Then there's a quick start guide. Right now the link's not there. We'll get one up there and you can click there. It's a little bit more broad-based about how to find a few things in any Moodle course. So that'll be up there very soon. Then you're asked to complete the course introductory lesson. So the course introductory lesson is a lesson I ask you to do that you have to jump through some hoops and do some orientation before you do it. Watching the orientation video is one, checking the startup checklist, and then going to the info tab and reading a whole bunch of the documents there. So I'm going to jump there to the info tab. That's the second tab over here. If you're ever unsure about something or if you're ever looking for something, this is the place to go. It talks about how to label documents if you hand things into an assignment folder. It gives you a picture of the textbook. Obviously that'll change per course, but your textbook there is there. And then these documents are fairly standard. A checklist, a how-to guide for whichever course you're in, a course outline, you really need that. There's some really important information there. Formula sheet, print that right off the get-go, and then an assessment list that I'll just click on that for us to have a little look at. What I did here was I put down the weightings, and then if you wanted to use it for your tracking, you can write down where you are and what your mark is, and it might be a way. I know we've got PowerSchool, just another guideline in case you want to be using some of the items that I've got. So you look in there. I'm going to turn off my editing here, make it look a little bit more streamlined for you guys. Then since we're looking at the tabs, you see you've got all these M tabs. These are your module tabs, module 1, module 2, 3, all the way up to 7, our review tab and assessment tab. So we're going to jump over to the module 1 tab. This is where your first content is. This is where you'll find the course introductory lesson. We had it also linked on the home page, so there's a couple places to find it. You can take it in Word document form and type it and then upload it, or you can print it, hand write it, scan it, and post it. It doesn't matter. Then we're into Module 1. There's a Learn Alberta code there in case you need it along the way. Then I photocopied the textbook. I think most courses have the first chapter in the textbook, so if you don't have your paper copy, you're not stuck as you wait to get it. Each module starts with a little bit of an introduction, and then you'll see that it goes into the different lessons, summary, and an assignment, sometimes a project. So let's go back up to lesson 1 and click on that and look at this lesson. I'll go through the guideline of what the lessons look like. Again, they're pretty standard throughout 20-1, 20-2, 30-1, 30-2, 10 common as well. So most of the high school courses are designed around this. If we have a quick look at the table of contents, I'll just explain generally what all these terms mean and we'll zip through. So the focus is going to tell you a little bit about what you're learning. So this page here tells us what we're doing. It ends at the bottom with a conversation about the assessment, and I'll leave that for the moment and come back to it at the end of my explanation. Then there's a launch page. A launch page basically is going to outline the content that you need to know before you're feeling ready to go in and do this lesson. So content that would have come from some previous math course. So here's the list of them, and if you go to the next page, there are you ready questions, and they're exactly what they say. Are you ready to carry on? So you'll find a series of questions with answers linked. At this point, you might want to be pulling out your binder. I do expect and want you to have a binder in this math class. The binder should have a couple of sections, and this is a suggestion, a section for notes and a section for work. And these ones would go in, I would label them Module 1, Lesson 1, Are You Ready? And I would do them there. I'm not going to monitor that a ton. That's part of being online and independent. It's a suggestion. I've seen students more successful when they do that. So if you got the Are We Ready questions with all these answer links, then if the Are You Ready questions, you're scratching your head going, oh, I'm supposed to know all that stuff. If it's really baffling and you think you need a bit of practice, go to the refresher section. This section has applets, a lot of videos that you can sit and watch that will kind of refresh you and tune you up on the information that you're supposed to know. So there's different links here as you go through, you can see. Then you're kind of now ready to blast off into the lesson. The first page called Discover, when we designed these lessons, we wanted this to kind of be a play time. If you were going to skip something, you probably could skip the Discover pages, but they're kind of supposed to be fun, where you go and are asked to kind of dabble around in the new content that you're doing. So that's what these are. They're usually asking you to do something. Sometimes it's an applet, sometimes it's something on paper and pencil, sometimes it's a video. And then you're usually asked to do something with that information. You'll notice that throughout the lessons there are these share questions, these try this one questions, etc. Share questions were meant to be able to work closely with another student. Many of my students don't have that opportunity, so I've provided some answers, and basically it says there, do it if you can. If you can't do it with someone else, try to do it on your own. And there's always answers linked throughout so that you're not sitting there going, I wonder if I did that right or I didn't do that right. Then if you look here, you see you got all these explore pages. These are the lessons. This is a fairly in-depth lesson. Most of them you're going to see between 2 and 4 pages. This one has lots of pages. We'll go to one page. We're not going to explore through all of them, but basically they're the lesson pages. And so they tell you what they would like you to do. Sometimes there's a setup of a question. They mention that you might want to have a glossary in your course folder meaning binder. So you take a piece of paper out and you make your own glossary of terms, things that might be new that you might not know about. And then off you go into the content. Again, I suggest you take some notes. You monitor that. Try not to have nothing at the end. Try to have something that is manageable. So you have to kind of worry about that a little bit. And you certainly can ask me about that when I meet you throughout this semester. So that's what these pages are. Then when you're done, you go down to the Connect page. And this is where you're going to do your assessment for the lesson. So each lesson has a 5-question open book quiz that you can do. So that's what it tells you. Now complete the lesson quiz under the Assess tab or using the quizzes link in the activities block. I'm going to show you how to find the lesson quiz. So when you're ready to do an assessment, you go back to the main page, and then everything that I want you to hand in for marks, everything is underneath this Assess tab. So if you're not sure what you got to hand in, here you are, okay? So here's where the assignment folder is. There used to be a beginning review assignment. I'll just take that out. It's not there anymore. And then here's your first quiz. So if I click on that, then you're able to click into the quiz and you'll see the 5 questions. Again, you can have your notes there. If you're getting help from a tutor or a friend, this is about the only place in the course for assessment that I want you to go and get some help. I would prefer the first time through, you try these on your own. You are allowed a second attempt a day later, 24 hours later. So if it goes really poorly, you should be asking me for help or going back through the lessons. And if you do indeed have a tutor, this is something you could go and do with them. There's pretty strict guidelines about what you're supposed to do on your own and what you're allowed to kind of get help on. This is one that I'm not going to get too tense about you getting help on. It's kind of like homework checks. It's just that when we do it online, it has to be called a lesson quiz. That's the terminology. So you have all these quizzes that you do as you finish a lesson, all marked out of 10. And then you have this assignment here, down here. My assignments are now in quiz format, and I'm not going to preview it, so I'll just generally talk about it. Once you go in, it's explained. You're going to be provided with the exam bank code, and you're going to go in and you're going to do 2 10-question quizzes. Again, you can use your notes, but at this point, when you get to the assignment, it's all you. You should not be asking friends for help. You should not be asking other teachers for help. I should be your guiding light here if you get stuck. So you go to Exam Bank, you take your 2 quizzes. Another component of the assignment is your Moodle tracking. So if you are going through the lessons, I'm going to go and check your footprint. And as long as you've done a vast majority of it, you'll get your 5 marks. And then there are 4 long answer questions you need to do and hand in, and I will arbitrarily pick 2 of them to mark. So once you go in there to the quiz, it's not password protected, you'll be able to see that. Back out to the assessment. Once you get everything done there, you may have a project. Here you can see that this project, I can see it says hidden from students. I think you guys can see this as well because it's not assigned. Sometimes they are, so sometimes you have a project. Once all of this is done, I'll coordinate with you and your coordinator, and you'll do a password protected test. These tests are all multiple choice, occasional long fill in the blank questions, but no long answer questions. But you come ready, pencil, paper, formula sheet, calculator, and everything shoved into your nice little brain so that you can do a really good job on them. So that's generally what you're going to do to kind of get through a module. Once you're done that, and once you're done the whole course, there is a tab for review. And I also am going to be inserting some review assignments. So if we go back over to the M1, I just haven't got to all the changes quite done in the course. This should be for all my courses. As you scroll down Module 1, right here somewhere after the summary, you'll see Module 1 practice assignment. And what that's going to be is a whole bunch of long answer questions that you can do, and then a full answer key, like with the full solution. So it's going to give you lots of chance to practice and really have a look at a lot of the different questions as you go through. And in general, that's what you do to get around in the math course. If you have any questions, you always can just email me and you'll get a response fairly quickly. So I look forward to being your teacher, and I hope this short orientation video helped you out.